So we are back in the games room, and it is a special. It is a treasure special. One of my favourite developers, some of my favourite games. Finally got round to doing this. I've been planning to do it for a long time. I finally picked up the last of the games I wanted to get from the treasure suite, as you will, the treasure back catalogue, I guess. And there's about 6 games I was after over the past 4 or 5 months. Slowly got them. And I put them to the side. I didn't want to put them near the pickups video because I wanted to do a dedicated one. So I wanted to take the time to actually showcase the existing treasure games I've got, and then of course I'll show the 6 new ones I picked up recently. And the other reason as well is, well, finally got a logo and stuff, right? I got a new avatar logo, clearly influenced by the great development team Treasure themselves. And I made it sound like I actually did something there. It's not me, it was Saru. I have to give thanks to him. So that's another reason why I want to do this video, is to thank him. So I'll do the thank yous at the end. Well, first of all, we'll talk about the games and how I got into playing treasure games, really. Why do I love this developer so much? Well, it should be pretty clear and obvious why. So first up, the game that sort of kickstarted it for me. Well, I wanted the best shooter out there. I was still collecting for arcade games at the time, and I told the story about getting for MVS and then the PCBs and then getting to Atomic Wave. And the next step was the Naomi, and that's because I wanted to play one particular game, and that game is, of course, Ikaruga. Now this is an amazing shooter. It's a Marmite kind of game. Some people think it's like overrated, some people think it's the best game ever, but there's no getting away with it. This is a fantastic shooter. It's absolutely gorgeous, very clever. It's got the typical sort of treasure sort of feel and taste to it. You know, it's not just a box on a shooter, but it has a slight twist to the mechanics, a little bit puzzly. You've got the day and light, or dark versus the light sort of mechanics in it. And you've also got the scoring, which is very, very typical treasure. So I was actually after the Naomi. So this is actually the first game I ever picked up for treasure. So it was the Naomi GD-ROM. And to actually play this was a bit of a headache. So before I got the GD-ROM, I said, okay, I'll get the Naomi kit. So I got the motherboard and the GD-ROM set and all the rest of it. Managed to get it all working. Got it from Hong Kong Legend in Hong Kong of all places. And so I got, I think it was Dynamite Decker, and what was the other one? The other fighting game I got as well, Dead or Alive. So I managed to get them working with the cart. So these are easy, you just plug them into the motherboard and they work pretty straightforward on the Super Gun. But I ordered the GD-ROM along with, I think, got Carus and a couple other shooters as well. Didn't work. A complete nightmare. The GD-ROM is a pain in the arse, it really is. You need to get the right power, otherwise it's very finicky. It's if you power off the motherboard, you sometimes have issues. So I didn't actually get to play this one. So I had it for a couple of months. I gave up. I thought, okay, I'll have to play it. So I gave up and got the GameCube version. Very embarrassing. So yes, I got this one first, but I played on the GameCube first. So it wasn't until I actually got the Sega Blast City that I managed to get this working fully with the GD-ROM. Of course, I followed it up and got the Dreamcast version as well. I got that maybe about 3 or 4 years ago from the auctions. So just to complete the set for Ikaruga, one of my favourite games. Not my favourite game, one of my favourite shooters. And you'll see from the footage how gorgeous that game is. So going on from that, I wanted more treasure. That I got the taste of Ikaruga, and the next step is, and I've said this before in the Sega STV video, but it is Radiant Silvergun. This really is one of my favourite shooters of all time. It's absolutely fantastic, absolutely amazing. It's well polished. It's got the same elements of Ikaruga as well, with the puzzle elements, and it's just so well done. And just the aspect of having these 2 approaches to the game. If you want to go for the high score, you've got to go for the chaining. So this is a completely different game if you're going to go for that route. Or if you just want to just dive in and have a quick game for 30 minutes, have a quick blast. It's just a different way of playing it. It's a different way of playing around with the different weapons. Ikaruga has a more straightforward weapon approach, while Radiant Silvergun has a lot more to it. Absolutely love this game, and I did pick up the Saturn version as well, and they are pretty much the same, apart from you obviously got more cutscenes as well in the Saturn version, while you only got sort of cutscenes in the track mode on the STV arcade version. Amazing game, absolutely amazing. So those were the first two treasure games I ever got, and what classics they were. And then I moved on to the Nintendo 64 of all things. So the first one I actually got was Mischief Makers. So this really was me investigating into what Treasure actually released. I saw that they had an N64 game, and I saw the reviews of it, and I thought I'm kind of interested in that. I do like my platformers, and so I gave it a go. So this one is tough. It really is tough to get into. Again, that sort of typical sort of Treasure flavour to it. Sometimes they're games you need to learn the controls, and you need some time to settle down and work out what the hell's going on. So I tried to play one of my save games. I completely lost. I completely forgot how to control it. So you see from the footage it says a pretty poor showing. So, but it is a fantastic game, but you need time to get into it. It's very colourful. It's a perfect N64 game. It may not be the prettiest of games. Well, N64 doesn't do pretty, to be honest with you, so it's not its own fault. But absolutely fantastic. If you like sort of Nintendo sort of platformings, but you want a little bit more puzzle elements and something a little bit more different, then Mischief Makers is the game for you. And anyone that tells you that the N64 is crap and no good games on it, they're wrong. It's a great system. It has a lot of crap on it, but it also has some absolute classics on it. N64 is the only platform that this game came out on. Staying with the M64, an absolute belter. It's Bangyo. Now this is an amazing shooter. A little bit different, to be honest with you. It also came out on the Dreamcast as well, but they're slightly different games. So the Dreamcast is obviously more polished looking, the graphics are much better, while N64 is a little bit more ugly, like I say. N64 doesn't do pretty, does it? But if you like, is it Subterranea on the Genesis, where you sort of floaty ship, you can sort of shoot things. It's hard to explain. It's kind of like Mr. Heli, like kind of game where you sort of float around and shoot stuff. Absolutely fantastic, really arcadey, and on the N64 as well, the controls are actually perfect for this game. So I don't care, people hate the N64 and hate N64 controller, this game is perfect on the N64. Absolutely fantastic game, but it is a little bit pricey. It only came out in Japan, unfortunately, so for price reasons, go for the Dreamcast version. It's not worth the difference in price. But if, emulator or whatever, go for the N64 version, you won't be disappointed. Amazing game, absolutely amazing. The other game is even better. I've gone from strength to strength here on the N64. This is potentially my favourite game on the N64. It is Sin and Punishment. Now, I was really lucky to get this one fairly early on as well. So I got this one in Singapore and Yishun. I spent a whole half an hour on the train to get this game, and it was in absolute mint condition. The guy picked it up in Japan, and this is an amazing on-rail gun shooter. It's absolutely fantastic. Again, the graphically, you got that sort of misty, sort of blurry N64 sort of look, but it is absolutely amazing. The playability, just the whole feel of the game, amazing. If you kind of like your sort of Space Harrier type on-rail shooters, you will love this game. And it's one of the best games on the system, and it's one of the best games during that era as well. So N64, when it does a good game, they're amazing. So don't slag off the N64. Great system, highly underrated. So that's the N64 games out the way. They only did 3 games on it. So next up is the Genesis. So this is more what the Treasure are more famous for. So first up is McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure. Now this is one of the first games they actually developed. I think it is the first game actually developed, and I think that's probably why they put Treasure in the name as well. So when the employees moved from Konami and started up Treasure, they started working with Sega, and I think they were given the franchise by Sega. They probably didn't trust them particularly as a new company. It's like, okay, we'll give them this game. They didn't expect too much, probably they screw it up. No one really cares. It's a McDonald's game, but they did an absolutely fantastic job. So if you've ever seen this game, it's so colourful. It's a really, really decent platformer. The music's okay, can get a bit annoying at times, but a lot of these platformers did at the time. You've got all your favourite characters from McDonald's. What more do you want? It's highly recommended, but this one is creeping up in price. I've no idea what the PAL goes for, but the NTSC version is getting more expensive. I think the Japanese one is probably the cheaper of all the bunch, but you definitely want to play this game. It is a lot of fun, and you can see sort of homages to things like Sonic and all the colours and everything, which is actually similar to the next game, which I think is the next game they actually developed, or roundabout the next game, or maybe it's the next game they were actually released. But this has a very similar feel to it. Certainly the backgrounds have the same sort of colour palette and this sort of same sort of designs as well. Again, you can sort of see that Sonic backgrounds and what have you. But it also has a bit of Gunstar Heroes feel to it, because it is a bit of a run and gun with a slight twist. You've got the head mechanics on this one where you smack objects and destroy enemies with your head. Very, very fun. Definitely recommend this one as well. I haven't got too far in this game, to be honest. I've only played it for a couple hours, 3 hours, maybe like that. Not a particularly expensive game, but a lot of fun. Highly recommend it. It also came out on the Master System and also on the Game Gear. I don't have those versions. Those ones I'm not going to pick up. Probably the Master System is you probably have to sell your house to get it. I think it's one of these bazillion exclusives that go for ridiculous amount of money. I have no idea about the Game Gear version. So happy to get those two. And the other one as well around the same time is Yuuhakusho. Now a lot of people do like this game a lot. I'm a little bit on the fence. I don't think it's a bad game, but I like my Street Fighters, so it's not a really in-depth fighting game. But it does have a 4-player aspect to it, so it makes it a little bit different. As all these sort of treasure games, they always have some sort of quirk to the game, and that's pretty much it with this one. It's not too much in depth on the moves, but there are enough moves in there to make it enjoyable if you've got you're fighting against a buddy or something. But again, this one's not a cheap one because this is a Japan exclusive as well. But definitely worth a quick play to see if you like it. Definitely play before you buy something like this one. But yeah, good fun. So next up is Gunstar Hero. Everyone knows this game. It's absolutely amazing. One of the greatest run and gun games out there, to be honest with you. One of the greatest games on the Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive. Really, really good game. So fast. It showed you what the Genesis could do, and sort of pushed Konami as well. I think that sort of rivalry came through at that time. So it made Konami come out with the Contra Hardcore, so sort of battle back against Treasure. Fantastic game. You'll see this one again later, so I won't go into too much detail. And another one is, of course, Alien Soldier. This one is more notable because it's so damn expensive. I was lucky to get this one very early on from a buddy that sold me the Neo Geo 29. Good guy. Mine's a bit battered, but I'm so happy to get this one. My manual's a bit screwed up. But fantastic game. It's more of a sort of boss rush sort of game. Very, very quick, small levels, and then you got a boss to destroy. And a lot of moves to it. Again, this thing with Treasure, you need to know the controls. If you don't know how to do the quick dash, you're absolutely doomed in this game. A lot of fun. Graphically, it's gorgeous and so fast. Plays really well. Really recommend it, but I don't recommend the price. Find another way to play it. I wouldn't recommend spending big money for it. It's a very expensive game. The last game on the Genesis, I think this is the last one they produced as well on the Genesis, is Light Crusader. Don't know too much about this one, to be honest with you. It's isometric. I'm not a big fan of the isometric games. This one is relatively cheap, and it's very similar to something like Landstalker. So if you like Landstalker, you'll probably like this one. So I've only quickly put this into play, but I'm not a big fan of isometric games, to be honest with you. So that is the Genesis games, or the Mega Drive games, out the way. Probably move on to the next generation of Sega hardware, which is the Saturn. We already covered Radiant Silvergun on it, but also they had the best game, one of the best games on the Saturn, which is Guardian Heroes. This is absolutely amazing game, fantastic game. What would you call it? It's kind of like a beat 'em up sort of adventure game. It's really, really good fun. It's one of these games you sort of put in it and you just keep on playing. I've got some, I was capturing footage for it, and then I just kept on going through the levels, as I always do with this game. It's even got a 2-player game in it as well, so you can actually fight your buddies. But the thing that's distinctive about this one is it had the different planes, so you sort of move the different planes to battle your enemies and sort of build up your characters as you go along. It starts getting more strengths, and it's more a little bit of an RPG aspect to the game. Really good fun, looks gorgeous, fantastic game. And it had kind of had a sequel, which we'll see later on. The other game on the Saturn is a very quirky game. Now, this is Silhouette Mirage. This also came out on the PS1. I don't have that version, but I believe this is the original, and they ported it to the PS1. So this is, again, it takes you half an hour to learn the controls. They do a really in-depth tutorial to teach you what to do. It's the Sony moves, really is. But it's a good fun sort of platformer, sort of run and gun, sort of adventure, kind of adventure game. Yeah, but it's got a slight weird mechanics with the Silhouette Mirage thing, so that your character's split in half, so you're facing one direction, it's one colour, it's the blue colour, and the other colour is the red colour. So depending which way you're facing your enemy, you're either doing damage to them, and you can take, I think you pick up things from them, or if you've got the point the other way, you can actually destroy them. So it's a little bit tricky, but it's a lot of fun picking up and throwing your enemies around and shooting them and stuff. It's a good fun. You'll see some footage, but definitely worth trying. I have no idea the cost of this one anymore, but it was a Japan exclusive. But I'm sure either PS1 or the Saturn version, they're not that expensive. But good fun, worth giving it a go. After that, I will cover the PS2 games before I get back to the Nintendo. So first up on the PS2 is Sylphid. Now this one I really like. Not everybody enjoys the shooter. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous, but for me, I've got a personal attachment to this because it was in one of my first bundles I picked up for the PS2. So my original PS2 I actually sold back in the day, and so when I was first collecting a game for the PS2, there's one massive bundle this guy in Singapore was selling. And it was a very difficult seller, this guy. Yeah, it was actually advertised for quite a while. I don't understand why no one went for it, because the games in there were pretty good. There's stuff in like God Hand, there's all sorts in there. But back then, they weren't really that well known, like Samurai Western, things like that. And obviously this one as well. And no one really talking about those games at that time. It was quite a few years ago. And they weren't actually that valuable as well. I think he kind of priced them on the valuable side. So I think he was looking for about 15 Sing or 20 Sing per game. So it kind of added up. And some of them were pretty valuable, and some of them weren't. So it was touch and go. But the games were really, really good games. I tried to haggle with them. And for some reason he had Dragon Quest VII. He had separately. Sorry, is it 7 or 8? The one with the cardboard cover. I think it's 8 actually. Sorry, on the PS2. He had that priced separately at like 40 Singapore dollars. So it's like, just include it with the bundle, mate, and then we got a deal. And he wasn't buying it, so I thought, okay, sod it. I'll just get the bundle. That's it. You can keep your Dragon Quest. And he was really picky about times. And he was out in Amokyo, which is like the real heartlands of Singapore. And I went out there. It's really difficult to find his place, and he was really picky at the time. Had to go to his void deck. If you don't know what void deck is, it's a load of my deals have been done on void decks. In Singapore, you have like a HDB government buildings, and the bottom of the apartments is like nothing. Sometimes you get a little mini mart or something, but generally it's just chairs and tables and just places for you to chill out and chat. So most of the deals you ever do, you go around to people's places. You don't go to the house or the apartment. You do it in the void deck. So it's a place of many deals. Many a game have been picked up in a void deck. But anyway, I had to meet him on his void deck. It's difficult to find, and ended up with a big IKEA bag of games. And I had to try and get back to the MRT. Couldn't find it and got kind of lost, and had to sort of get a taxi or something. I had to hail a taxi with this big IKEA bag of PS2 games. So that's my memories of this game. I always go back to that time. But it's a fantastic game. Absolutely gorgeous shooter. Treasure were trying to get into this sort of 3D sort of molding of their actual shooters. So they were trying around with the game, but I personally really like. I think it's a good game. A little bit on the easy side, but I do enjoy this one. Working Designs actually brought it across. I don't know why they were involved, but they released it in North America. But I definitely recommend it, and I don't think it's particularly expensive as well, so I definitely want to look out. And at the time, I had no idea that was Treasure. It wasn't until looking back when I started getting more involved and really focusing on Treasure that I realised actually I already had a Treasure game. So I was pretty happy when I discovered that. The other PS2 game, which is, for me, I think it's a real big surprise because it's Gradius. So, but we're going back to Konami here. So Konami actually contracted these guys out to work on it, which is kind of strange going back to Konami. But I think they did a pretty good job. I think graphically it's absolutely gorgeous, an absolute stunner. Gameplay wise, it seems a bit slow. It doesn't seem to be as responsive as you would want it to. Of course, they didn't play around. They didn't have any sort of leeway to play around with the mechanics and put some sort of puzzly element in it like they normally did. But it's it's a good game nevertheless. I definitely enjoy it. I have no idea how much that one goes for either, but definitely worth it if you can get it on the cheap. Really enjoyment, and it does look absolutely gorgeous. But like I say, it's just not quite there on the playability side. But it's a lot of fun. So that's it for the PS2 games. Then we move to the GameCube, I think. So we already had Ikaruga. So they also had a Japan exclusive, which is Dragon Drive. Not the greatest of games, to be honest with you. It's okay. Obviously, it didn't get ported to the West because of the source materials. It's very Japanese anime. I don't think it was particularly famous in Japan. I could be wrong, but it certainly wouldn't have been very popular in the West. But it's just like Train Your Dragon type of thing. You sit on a dragon and shoot. You'll see from the footage. It's kind of interesting, but it's not particularly exciting. And also, when you use like a Western, like I've got a North American GameCube, it sort of garbles all the Japanese text. It doesn't properly convert it, so when you can't even use your phone to convert it and understand what's going on. So I had no idea what I was supposed to do, but it's a bit of a shoot 'em up on the dragons, and it was fun for about 2 seconds. But yeah, it's a very cheap game, very common in Japan. But a bit of fun, something different anyway. And the other game is absolutely fantastic. And all the games on Nintendo are fantastic when it comes to Treasure. It is Wario World. So this does not get enough praise. It really is a fantastic platformer. If you like Mario games, you're going to love this. Okay, it's not as polished as a Nintendo first party game, but not many games are, to be honest with you. So it doesn't play as well as one of your top tier Mario games, but it's pretty damn close, and close enough. You will definitely have a lot of fun here, punching enemies and grabbing coins. Really, really good fun, and doesn't get enough praised in my book. Great game. The other games they got are on the Wii. So they got Bleach. So I think this is a Japan exclusive as well. I've not really played this one, so I have no idea. I think it's just a fighting game, to be honest with you. Not played it. I need to put it on the freeloader and work it on the Wii. The other game is their sequel to Sin and Punishment. They did one on the Wii. Highly recommend this. You want to get this one. Absolutely fantastic, and works really well with the Wii remote as well. Definitely recommend that one. And we have, that's the end of those ones there. We'll then on to the handhelds. So if you saw my video before, then you would have definitely seen this one. And it is Astro Boy. So this is an amazing, amazing shoot 'em up on the Game Boy Advance. It's a lot of fun, really a lot of fun for the Game Boy Advance. I'm starting really getting into the Game Boy Advance, to be honest with you. There's a few games that they released for it, and they're pretty good fun. So definitely recommend this one if you haven't got it already. And Astro Boy is pretty damn cool. And then we have Gunstar Heroes and also Guardian Heroes Advance. So they did the same kind of thing with these two, to be honest with you. So what they did was, it's basically the same game, but they sort of tweaked it a little bit. They set them both in the future of their respective games, and they just played around with the controls a bit, not for the better, to be honest with you. If there's no way as good as the original games, But yeah, it's worth it giving them a go, I guess. Things like Guardian Heroes, it's like they got rid of the planes, which was fundamental when you played that one, and things like the Gunstar Heroes one, it's pretty much the same layout, the same bosses and stuff, but just slightly tweaked. Not the greatest of games they released, but still a lot of fun. Then on the DS, they had a couple of games as well. So they had, again, they like their Bleach. They had 2 Bleach games. Again, I don't really know too much about these ones. These are fairly cheap. They got fairly recently. And also Bangio as well. The, was it Missile Furies and things? Oh, sorry, this is Bangio Spirits. They also had one as well around the same time as this one that came out on the 360, which was download only, but I don't have that one. I think it's called Missile Fury, something like that. And then that's it for the DS. But they do have a couple 3DS games, and I have to remember what this is called. This is Geists. What's it called? And it's actually upside down. It's what's it called? Geist Crusher or something like that? Geist Crusher, I think it's called. They've got 2 of them. I didn't realise they had 2. They released 2 around the same time. This is the first one, and they got Geist Crusher God as well, which I've actually ordered. So I'm going to get it anyway. It's a very, very, very cheap game. It's about 700 yen, so that's like $5. So $5. What's that? A couple pounds for that. £3 maybe. Very cheap games. But this one's got all sorts of stuff in there. For some reason, it was a complete flop. And it was done by Capcom as well. You would have thought that it would have done a little bit better than it did. Because I think this was also the last game they released, if I'm not wrong as well. So that is it for the actual games that I had already in the collection. So now for the ones I actually picked up recently. So if you know your treasure, you know already what they are, you know what the gaps are. I've already hinted at the ones I didn't manage to pick up, so I'll go through them again. Things like Silhouette Mirage, I didn't get the PS1 version. Dynamite Heady, I didn't get the Master System one or the Game Gear version. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm sure you'll correct me in the comments. But first up of the pickups that I've got in the past 5 months is Gunstar Heroes on the Game Gear. Now, I didn't realise this existed, and it's an absolutely astonishing game. If you love your Game Gear, you are going to love this one. Absolutely amazing. It was actually ported by M2, and they did a fantastic job. They really reproduced the Genesis game, the Mega Drive game on it. The levels are pretty much there, and the speed is there as well. It looks a little bit graphically challenged, and it can get a little bit confusing with a lot going on, and the limited use of obviously the graphics wise. So it can get a bit confusing, but it's absolutely fantastic. It plays so well. I can imagine there's probably a Master System out there. Someone would have probably created one. I would have expected the Master System version to be even better. But yeah, really, really recommend getting this one if you like your Game Gear. Fantastic stuff. The next one, I have to remember the actual name. So this, I think it's Hajime Ippo, the fighting or something. You'll recognize the, I think it's Hajime Ippo, the fighting. You'll recognise the anime. It's everywhere. There's a lot of these games out there. It's basically a boxing game. If you like Punch Out, you will love this game. It really is very similar to Punch Out. Really enjoyed playing this one. Graphically, it's superb on the Game Boy Advance, and definitely get this one if you love Punch Out. You will love it. Interesting characters you're fighting as well. It's not as good as Punch Out, but it's definitely in the same vein, and you can't go wrong with Punch Out. Really can't go wrong. The next one is a bit of a flop for me, and it was probably the most expensive one of the ones I recently picked up. It's Buster's Bad Dream. So this one, I think, was one of the last games that I needed to get, and I bit the bullet. I went for Fleabag on this one. I had to. So I've been looking for a long time trying to get this cheap, like a fool, and it's slowly going up and up. I've been looking at eBay wanted to get the North American one originally, but it's just ridiculous. It's not worth it. So I'll go for the European version. So I'm happy to get that one. It's much cheaper, and it's the same game, right? There's no differences there. I'm really happy that I got it. I paid over the odds a little bit. I paid 50 US dollars, I think, for this one. Or was it £50? A big difference. I think it was £50 actually. I paid £50 for this. I think I did. Oh dear. But it's not great. Not great at all. It's just a bit of a fighting game. It's just, apart from you've got like a same like in Marvel vs. Capcom, you've got the Striker or in King of Fighters. So you've got a secondary character. You're always the main rabbit, Buster, whatever it is, and you're always in his badger. And yeah, you've got a partner that will just come in and smack the enemy. Like you've got different, depending on the different character you've got, they've got different sort of moves. But it's not particularly exciting. It's pretty dull. Yeah, very bit of boring, and I didn't enjoy that one. I was expecting a lot more, and yeah, not worth £50. I can tell you that now. But yeah, for some reason, I think the North American was limited release. I think it came out later than the PAL one, so I think that's why it's more expensive. But I've got a feeling this one will creep up in price as well, to be honest with you. There's sort of big differences between the North American and the PAL prices, so I'm sure it will catch up. So next up, I will leave the best one to last. Next one is, again, we're revisiting Gunstar Heroes. It is the treasure box, and this one is fantastic. You've got 3 amazing games in here. You've obviously got Gunstar Heroes, you've got Dynamite Heady, which we covered before, and also you've got Aliens Soldier. 3 amazing games, and you've got all the versions in here. So you've got the Japanese version, you've got the Western versions in there as well. You've got a nice little bit of gallery and all the extra bits that you always get on these M2 ported Sega Ages games. I really do love these Sega Ages games. Got quite a few of them now, slowly picking them up, but they are amazing. Really, really good ports, and it's great to have it on one disc. And a hell of a lot cheaper than buying separately as well. So, got a PS2 and you want to play those original Genesis games, I recommend you get that one. So, staying with the PlayStation 2, so this one is weird, to say the least. It is Stretch Panic. Now, I don't know, I'm lost for words for this one. How do I describe it? It's just weird. It's yeah, it's almost like a tech demo, to be honest with you. They're obviously, yeah, they got well into the 3D sort of graphics and what can we do that's a bit quirky. So there's a story about this little girl who has to rescue her sisters, and I have no idea, I didn't really sort of pay much attention, but somehow she's got this massive arm stuck to her, and this is the mechanics that you got to play around with. So you got to use the analog stick to sort of grab stuff with this little hand and sort of stretch stuff, hence the name Stretch Panic. I mean, it's a nice idea, but it just plays like a dog. It really does. Really sluggish. I just ended up falling off everything. It's really hard to work out where you are because it's a bit of a platformer as well. It's a bit of a nightmare, to be honest with you. And yeah, they got a very strange concept in there. They certainly endowed their women characters in such a way, which is very interesting. Yeah. It's bizarre, absolutely bizarre. It's worth just checking out. It's a fairly cheap game. I've forgotten what it's called in the West, but you'll see the footage. Not the West. In Europe. What it's called, you'll find out on the little box. Have a look there. I've forgotten what it's called, but it's also got a very different name. And the Japanese game as well, I think it's got the girl's name in it. I've forgotten what it was called. But definitely worth a try. But prepared to be absolutely puzzled by it. Very strange game. I have no idea what was going on in their heads, but I'm sure a lot of drugs were involved while designing this game. That is it, apart from the last one, which I think is the best game that I've got, and it's probably the best game I've got for a while as well. I love this game. And it is Rakugaki, which I completely butchered. Rakugaki Showtime, I think. I don't know. This is an amazing game, really amazing game. How would I describe it? Probably Power Stone with crayons, I guess. It's like a battle arena game, really good fun. Obviously, you need to get used to this sort of Paper Mario sort of style. So yeah, Paper Mario meets Power Stone is probably the best way to describe this. You have to get used to this sort of the layout of it, yeah, and the dimensions. But once you get used to that, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot going on. It's a bit crazy. The idea is you just grab and throw your enemy, or you grab bits and pieces off the ground and little weapons. The little god hand comes down and draws stuff for you to use as weapons. It's pretty cool. I do like this game. I haven't tried it in a versus. I would love to do that. I'm sure it's a lot of fun playing against another player. But against the computer, the CPU, really good fun. Really, really good fun. It's a bit crazy at times. You don't know what the hell's going on, but I like it. I like that. And you got this weird sort of little smiley face you pick up and just throw and smack him. A lot of fun. Really a lot of fun. But again, this is Japan exclusive. Only on the PlayStation 1. I think this is the only PlayStation 1 game I've got, isn't it? I know Silhouette Mirage came out on the PS1, but I think apart from that, this was exclusive, and it's by Enix as well, which I think they also did Mischief Makers as well. But apparently they had a bit of fallout, Treasure Enix, after this game. Apparently, if you read the internet. Don't know how much true that is, but they didn't work with them after that. But this is a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it if you can get if you can get a copy of this game. It's a little bit expensive now, this one. I was looking for a long time on eBay to try and get it, but eBay prices are ridiculous. So eventually I got it in Yahoo Auctions in Japan, got it for a pretty good price. So I'm happy to finally get this one. I had this on my search list for probably about a year and a half before I managed to snag this one. And I got this one, I think about 2 months ago. So finally I got it. I'm pretty chuffed to do so. I would definitely recommend you try and play this one. Whatever you get to play it, just try it. It's something a little bit different and a little bit special. So that is all the games. That's all my treasure. And just one last thing to do, and that is the thank yous. So yes, Saru, thank you so much. That's a really amazing job on my logo. I'm so happy with it. Totally cool guy. Finally I have a logo. I've got a banner on my page. People must have think, what, this guy's so lazy, can't be even asked to put a banner on his YouTube page. But I have one now. I've got an avatar now. So cheers, mate, really. If you don't know Saru, everyone knows Saru. I feel stupid having to say that. But if you happen to not know for some whatever reason, you're in Iraq or whatever, I'll put the link in the description. And all this art you always see scattered in my room is all done by him. So this Korean one and this Samus one here. Samus one's quite new actually, just arrived a couple of days ago. Fantastic stuff. I really love his artwork, and his game's even better. So that's how I discovered him in the first place. I think it sounded like I'm a talent scout there. I didn't discover him. I found his game. I think Happy Console Gamer or something, and such a fantastic game. So I got this quite a few years ago, and then joined his Discord after I got this game. Fantastic stuff, really good. If you like platformers, you like shoot 'em ups, you're gonna love this. Really good game, really good game. And it's also on the Dreamcast if you don't have a PC Engine. So there's no excuses. Or it's on all the platforms, even the Mega Drive as well. So actually, I would have loved to get the Mega Drive version. But I think it's all gone. I think. Saru, make more Mega Drive FX Unit Yukis. We want more. I'll definitely pick one up. And also, I'll say thank you to his Discord as well. Such cool people on that. They've been very supportive. Really cool guys. You got all sorts on there. I couldn't believe you got one side of the political spectrum to the other. Very, very, very diverse people. Complete opposites, but when it comes to games, they're awesome. Really awesome. Everyone gets on well together, and it just shows you deep down. Everyone, when it comes to the important stuff like games, they're all very cool dudes. So thank you guys, absolutely awesome guys. And I'm not going to stop with thank yous there. I've got to thank you to whoever made it to the end of the video, if anyone's actually made it to the end. And thank you to my missus as well. Let's see if she actually watches the video. I think she doesn't feel appreciated, so I'm going to have to say a special thank you to my missus as well for putting up with me and all these stupid games. So if you're watching, I did it. I did say something. Let's see if she watches. It's a test. Anyway, thank you guys. You made it to the end of the video. Congratulations, and I will see you guys later.